Hello, my name is Nneka Nwobi, and today I would like to share some of my thoughts with you on how to thrive in a volatile and unstable world. I'm sure you will agree with me that the past couple of weeks and months has been extremely volatile. And just as a date stamp, it's March 2020. And what has caused all this in the world? As you know, it's the spread of the coronavirus that started from Wuhan, which is almost 9,000 kilometers from where I live in Nairobi. Meanwhile, the impact has been rapid, with countries shutting down their borders. America, who would think that America would shut down their borders to one of their closest allies, all of Europe? I mean, it just shows the magnitude of the volatility and the impact that it would have. And this is where, a lot of people get sick and they spread it because it's an extremely contagious disease. So then you might be asking, what then happened to all my plans? You might have had intensive planning sessions as an organization, doing your strategy planning, even as an individual, an employee, your own personal plans. And 3 months later, poof, out of the window. And it's even like, what do I do next? And for me, who is a strategic planner, if I'm not careful, I'll get very jittery. And you may be like me. And that's why I needed to find a framework, something that at least I can hold on to and to begin to thrive still, even in this environment. I shared one of the areas that you can thrive in a volatile environment. This framework is VUCA, which is what you do in a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. And I'm sure you will agree with me that this is where we find ourselves in. And so today I would like to talk about how you can thrive even in an uncertain world. And what is uncertainty? Uncertainty, as you know, is the opposite of being certain. So that you are certain that if you do this, this will happen, which is really a cause and effect relationship. But when you take out that certainty, it becomes uncertain. You don't know. That cause and effect relationship is no longer there. And what causes that? It's really the lack of information, getting some inputs for you to make a decision. And what's the effect of a lack of information? You become fearful because you don't know. You don't know, you're kind of standing on shaky ground. You don't have anything to hold yourself. You are not certain of, if I do this, this will happen. And so when there is fear, typically what will happen is that you become paralyzed. So that's, I don't know what to do. So, and as a result, because you don't know what to do, you just stand still. And so it's very important at this time to arm yourself with information. I'm not usually, at least up until now, I didn't really spend much time reading news. I mean, I could count when last I switched on the TV to listen to the news. Yeah. I'm one of those who it's now on the internet, I read the news and all of that. But I knew that it was very important for me to arm myself with information about what's going on because things are moving so quickly. So where I live in Kenya, even just knowing what's going around, what's going on. But you see, it's also very important that the information that you get is reliable, it's accurate, because there are a lot of naysayers. And naysayers could just dampen your spirit because everything will be so dull. So you want to get the right kind of information, balanced information. And by you arming yourself with different information and knowledge, then you have some element of certainty of what's going on for you to be able to now go to the drawing board in terms of your planning. Because if you don't plan, if you don't have an idea of things, then you really cannot move forward. So the objective is to get as much information and then begin to develop some multiple scenarios. And if you even take a cue from what the United States are doing, they're having to think of an 18-month contingency plan so that if this happens, like what is the worst case scenario? And so even in your own, you may say, okay, what is the likely scenario of this? So for example, you may be planning to have a major conference or a major event in about 5-6 months' time. You will then consider, with the information that you've got, what is the likely scenario that if this happened, if this stops in the next 1 month, what's that going to happen? But then if it goes on, by God's grace, that will not happen for another year, what does that mean? How can you begin to plan plan about what will happen in a worst case scenario? Then in a likely scenario, and have multiple scenarios for your business as a business owner. So it's important with your managers and your team, get to the drawing board and look at the possible scenarios. As an individual and employee, you may have been planning to take time out to further your education outside the country. Well, they've closed the borders and you can't go anywhere. So what is the likelihood in this case that after a year, it's still closed? But I doubt that will happen. But that will be the worst case. And what's the likely? But then you're only able to form those decisions or make those decisions because you've researched and got information. And where do you get your information? From asking people, from going to authentic sources, and also from learning. Because you know what? This type of, yes, it's a virus. It's a health-related thing. It's really a downturn in the economy. And this has happened before. In 2007, there had the global financial crisis, and companies who hadn't planned just went under. Likewise, individuals. In fact, I was probably one of that in 2007, where there was such a downturn and I lost almost everything that I had. But then that's because I did not take time to learn, to get information, to arm myself with information and look at the worst case scenario. And when you've done that, there's a sense of certainty, a sense of confidence that, if this is the worst, this is the worst that can happen to me. So I hope that this has added some value to you and that you'll be able to take some time and think about or find out where you can get the information that you need to move forward, to thrive, even in these times of uncertainty. So while you're endeavoring to do that, also ensure that you make it a duty, or consider a duty, especially even at this time, to live a significant life, to add value to others. And it really doesn't cost much money. It's just about being there for all others who may be having a very hard time during this crisis. If you have any questions, or let me know also, what are you doing to thrive in these times of uncertainty? Until then, have a blessed time.